So I was talking about satsang and how people have this misconception about it. Even today, I'm sure you guys must have experienced it. If any of your neighbors or any of your friends are saying that, oh, Falana, Guruji has come or some teacher has come and we're doing a satsang, the first thing some people are like, oh my God, satsang and all, like we don't want to be a part of it. So boring, must be. Satsang simply means, if you describe it, in plain simple terms, collection of people who have a similar aspiration, similar goal, spiritual aspirations, who are coming together in one platform, in a place or wherever, and there is maybe there's a teacher, sometimes there's no teacher, sometimes it's just a whole bunch of people who are singing and chanting. Singing and chanting has its own value. I've been a part of those satsangs where people sing and chant the holy names of God, and the energy is beautiful, the energy is so beautiful. It's created with the chantings and the sounds, and the music, that it's so easy to slip into meditation. It's easy to slip into meditation when you're in an environment where people are singing and chanting and praying together. So if you go to a church service, that's satsang too, right? It's a church service, it's a different religion. They don't call it satsang, but technically it is a satsang. If you go to a Buddhist monastery where people are sitting together and chanting, Namyo Renge Kyo or something, it is a satsang. People are sitting together, they have common goals and aspirations, and they're chanting together. If you go to a Guruji's ashram where the Guruji is sitting and saying something and people are listening and good words, that's a satsang. Anything that raises your consciousness, gives you knowledge, information, and with this good knowledge and information and positive listening and stuff, our consciousness expands, our awareness expands. That's exactly what even we are doing over here, right? We are talking about things, discussing things, we read the Bhagavad Gita. It helps us expand our awareness, consciousness, makes us realize things, and we make friends also. So that is why I believe that it's time that we choose our friends wisely. It's time we choose our friends from amongst people who are like-minded, from amongst people who have common spiritual goals, unless and until you've chosen to be someone like Mother Teresa. Maybe she worked with all kinds of people, she worked with lepers and people who are diseased and dying, and some of these people could get very angry also, unless you've chosen that path where you want to work and deal with people who are disturbed, who are troubled, and through your friendship they're going to get elevated in life, which is a very tough path to walk, because you're trying to help someone, they might drag you down spiritually or even emotionally or mentally, which is what happens a lot of times, So a wise thing is to choose your friends, your associates, colleagues, people that you work with, people that you want to get into a relationship with, everything, choose it from a satsang. Choose it from satsang as in like a good company. Choose it from a place where you have like-minded people, where you have common goals and aspirations, because you don't want to associate with someone who will bog you down, in life, who will disturb your peace of mind, who doesn't have common goals, personal goals. Tanya, I love how open-minded you are when it comes to different religions. Thank you, Tanya. I have actually studied and experienced different religions, so that's why I have the open mind towards it. I was fortunate enough to be exposed to different religions through different teachers and preachers. Manpreet Sharma, what if you have no control over it like your parents? Well, yeah, sometimes in life we don't have control over the people that are around us, and we've not chosen them technically. In a larger way, we have chosen them. Maybe in a soul level, we chose our parents. That is also a possibility that we must consider. That maybe in our conscious human space, we did not choose our parents or family because we were born to them and we recognized them after we were born. But can we consider the fact that maybe when we were on a soul level, when before we even came on earth, before we even came into a mother womb, we probably have chosen to take birth to those parents, in that family, in that environment. That's also a possibility, right? So whether your family environment is pleasant, positive, or negative and difficult, if you consider the possibility that maybe on a soul level you chose it, so that you can have a challenge to overcome, you chose it so that your soul can have an opportunity to learn and grow through difficult circumstances. Some of us may have chosen it because either of the parents or both the parents had certain traits that we needed to imbibe in ourselves, because those traits would help us in our mission further along in the future. So on a soul level, we were way more intelligent, like when we are embodied in human form, a lot of our higher intelligence level is subdued, because we are in the human body, and the human body has its own sense perception, it has its own, it's subject to elements, but on a soul level, a soul is not subject to the same elements that a human mind and a human body is. So on a soul level, our intelligence level is of a different kind. With that intelligence, we may have also chosen some of the circumstances that we were born into, or certain circumstances that we've encountered in life. So there are many schools of thought, and I would like to consider all of those. Some school of thought is there is some karma, previous karma with our closest people, those that are a part of our life and involuntarily. There is some karma from some lifetime. The other thing is, maybe there's no karma. Maybe as a very advanced soul, some souls have simply chosen difficult and complicated circumstances to be born in on earth, because those difficult and complicated circumstances invoke compassion for the rest of humanity, because so many people are in difficult and complicated situations. That is one school of thought. The third is that it's probably just a random occurrence, a matter of chance that one person is born in one family and another person is born somewhere else. Regardless of that, what we make of this life is what matters in the end. Whether it happened by your own choosing, whether it happened because there was a karmic bond, whether it happens because of a random chance, what we make of that situation, what we make of our life circumstances, and how we take it along, and how we get the better of it, is what makes our life a success. Tarun Barot 5, what is need of guru? Well, a guru or a teacher is simply a guiding force, a guiding light, to kind of Veena is saying, sad news, my grandpa just died in the UK, just got the call, got to leave. Oh, she has to leave the live chat. Sorry, Veena, sorry for your loss, sorry to hear that. I hope your family, all of our condolences to your family. Somebody is asking if they can register for the meditation course now. Yeah, it's still open. The meditation course is alive and well. The link is in my bio, my Instagram bio. So anybody who's interested in registering, we are going to be open for registering, up until like maybe 8 hours before, 8 or 12 hours before the meditation workshop. So up until the 6th, 6th evening is when we, start closing down the registration process. I'm Sak K saying you're doing good work. Shabnam XOXO, do you also read the Bible, ma'am? Yes, I do. I have studied the Bible. I have read the Bible. I have, studied Christianity for many years, through attending church, listening to preachers and pastors. I haven't started reading the Bible like on a public platform, like Instagram, like I do with the Bhagavad Gita, but I definitely think someday I'm going to do that as well. अच्छा दिस लाइफ प्लीज आपका यूट्यूब चैनल शुरू कीजिए. Yes, definitely, maybe someday. Who goes against the king dies. What do you think will be the future of this world? Well, nobody really knows the future, right? I mean, because future is something that we are going to be creating together. Some people say the world's going to end. Some people are going to say, all this is prophesied. But I believe that we create our realities, and of course there is a divine principle, God's will. But because we are the sparks of God, on earth, because we are the sparks of God and we are children of God on earth, we have been given the power to create our future and create our reality, and we must never forget that. We can listen to predictions, and we can listen to all kinds of predictions, and we can choose to believe those, or we can choose to believe that regardless of the predictions, I'm going to try my level best right till the very end to not have this world destroyed, to not have the human race destroyed out of its own ignorance and its own wicked ways. What can I do to play a part in transforming this world, in creating a better world, just the way we work on ourselves to transform our own lives, also work on ourselves to transform the world. So I was having this discussion earlier today in the live where this theme was discussed, where we start with one person, that is ourselves. We start with one person, we work on ourselves, we enhance our life, enhance our health, and enhance our perception, our ability to function in the world. And by default, by that one person changing, that is us, we've already created a ripple effect in the world. Like if I had not gone on my own journey of self-discovery, the spiritual path, self-realization, if I had not gone on my own journey, today I wouldn't be able to sit here and assist others in their journey of self-discovery and self-realization. It's because I worked on myself, I'm today able to assist other people who are working on themselves, in whichever way I can. I don't claim to be the know-all and be-all and end-all of the spiritual process. My job here is to motivate people to find their path, whether they find their path with me and my workshop, or somebody else, or some other religion somewhere. Possibilities are endless. But if I had not had a journey myself, I would not be able to guide others. So we create our destiny with God's help, with God's guidance. Just the way in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna became a guiding force for Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra. And not only did Krishna become a guiding force for Arjuna, but Krishna also led Arjuna to victory. Like that, God becomes our guiding force, guiding light, guiding principle. Spiritual gurus, teachers, healers, motivational speakers, all of these are manifestation of the divine principle that show up in our life from time to time to guide us, help us, nudge us a little bit along the way, show us a mirror sometimes, talk to us some positivity, encourage us a little bit, and get us along on our path. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is us who are, maybe it's God's energy, maybe it's the Guru's energy, maybe it's whatever energy that is working as a principle in our life, but ultimately it is us who become the vessels of transformation and change in the world, vessels of transformation and change in our own lives and in the lives of others. So I don't want to do any predictions. I know what I want, Someone is asking, what are your views on the year end and did anything good come out of it? Yeah, I think there's a silver lining in every cloud. I think a lot of people are introspecting. upon their lives, upon their thought process and everything. A lot of people have gone into introspection in the lockdown. I have started doing these sessions in lockdown. This is a good thing that has come out of the lockdown, if one has to look at it this way. A lot of people have discovered hidden talents and hidden potential. A lot of people have done really good work during this coronavirus pandemic. So reality, somebody is not able to understand reality. How do you stay so strong when this ganging up on the other side? So Estella is asking, which book of the Gita are you reading? It's just a general translation of the Bhagavad Gita by this author called P. Lal. It's a really nice translation, I feel, and I have some other books also that I follow from time to time. Spartan detected, how can you create desire if you have become desireless? Any way you can suggest? Oh, I don't know if somebody can become completely desireless, Yeah, I mean, maybe the Buddha was completely desireless, complete, piece of life functioning out of divine providence. And yeah, maybe it's possible, but if you become completely desireless, then you should enjoy that state of being, If you become desireless and you're functioning out of a divine providence, then you don't need desire. It's fine, because you're going to be doing what is needed. You're going to be functioning the way you need to function, and you're going to be the way you need to be. You don't need desires to make you roll, Desires make a person roll who's not yet reached that stage of awareness within, where they become a complete instrument for the will of God, complete instrument for the universe to manifest its stuff. So it's cool. If you become desireless, I think that's also a beautiful state to be in. Refog 069, without desire, life would be very pale. Do you agree? Desire is like something that keeps you motivated each day. Well, it's a different kind of existence. There are people who have transcended desires, or they really don't shoot out these arrows of desire from their mind and from their energetic being. They have stilled themselves. A lot of sages and saints and a lot of people of late have become like that. They've become detached. They go, or maybe they're going through a phase, that is also possible. Maybe it's not a permanent situation, maybe it's a phase that they don't feel much desire, they don't feel much attachment to anything, and it happens in the spiritual journey. People go through these phases and moments, and for some people it lasts a lifetime. For some people they kind of get over it and they start having desires again. So whoever goes against the king dies is saying, how do I annihilate my enemies who done me so bad? I wish I could answer that question somehow, because I don't know what circumstances you've gone through, and I don't know what your enemies are like, what their situation is like, and what the whole deal is. But like I said, what I can do is to advise you to come, how to come to your own peace. When you come to your own peace within yourself, by connecting with higher power, a divine power, connecting with your core self, a couple of things might happen. A, you might find it in your heart to forgive and let go. B, you will figure out a way to bring yourself to justice and bring those people to justice, in a manner that sets an example for others and sets an example for them also in their life. And the third thing is you may figure out, with Divine's grace, you may figure out a way to even annihilate them. That is also a possibility. It is historically proven that God has helped people annihilate their enemies. One would think, why would God do that? But historically, we've seen enough examples and references to help to devotees, helping devotees, um, take care of their enemies. I am Kiran Raj. In terms of food for our life, what is better, veg or non-veg in all aspects? So in the spiritual path, I think a lot of people get really caught up with this veg, non-veg thing. It's got its own merit, of course. Being vegetarian, being vegan, following a frugal diet, fasting, all of these things have their own merit, and they all have their own scientific merit. But having said that, I don't think we need to get caught up in this. Like I gave an example earlier, I've come across people who are so caught up in the virtue and the superiority of being vegetarian that they don't realize that one so-called virtuous act they are clinging on to is making them unvirtuous in so many ways. For example, they become more judgmental about others who are not vegetarian. They start looking down upon people who are not vegan or vegetarian. They start looking down upon people who eat a certain kind of meat, consume a certain kind of meat, or they start thinking of other people as less spiritual, or start judging. Judgment is the worst sin. Judgment is the worst sin. If we talk about sin and virtue, let's just say judgment is the worst sin. When you judge somebody, you're trying to please God. When you judge somebody as less or more or less spiritual or more spiritual or ignorant or enlightened, you're essentially trying to elevate yourself to the status of God and say that I'm God and I don't need to learn and grow. I don't need to analyze and perceive. I already know it. So that's a trap a lot of people fall into. They get caught up in this whole vegetarian, non-vegetarian, this thing. Eat whatever suits your body. And yes, certain spiritual practices require a person to be vegetarian because those spiritual practices are designed in such a way that they will have more of an effect on a person if they follow a light vegetarian diet. It is true that non-vegetarian food takes longer to digest, and it's more heavy on the system than vegetarian food. Vegetarian food is lighter, gets digested more quickly, and one feels lighter. But having said that, different people have different needs. Sometimes a person may need more grounding, and so they may get drawn towards consuming meat. So again, this is something that I like to kind of be less rigid about. I've never been rigid about this whole diet aspect of it. I follow the rules whenever I go to a spiritual organization or whenever I'm learning something. I am a very good follower. Whenever I've learned from a teacher, I have really literally followed them to the T and followed everything that they've taught me. So it's important to be that. So if you need to be vegetarian, be that. If you need to be non-vegetarian, be that. If you have read up something and you feel like you can change your diet, do that. Just to make it a part of your judgment. That is worse. What comes out of your mouth is probably more important on a soul level than what goes in. You can be a vegetarian, but if you're abusing people and talking shit about people and speaking negative all the time and hating on people and creating chaos, then sorry, your vegetarianism is of no good value. Your soul remains contaminated. So we don't get pure or impure by what we eat. We become pure or impure by how we feel, how we think, how we speak, and how we act. I've come across meat eaters, hardcore meat eaters, but really wonderful people, and I've come across so-called hardcore spiritualists and vegetarians who not even bat an eyelid before saying something to you on your face, or kind of judging you or something. So yeah, it's time perhaps we transcend above these petty considerations. Food is the body, and it is also, it all does impact our soul in some way, it impacts our mind and stuff. I think each person has to kind of do their own research and see what suits an individual at any given point of time. Again, it's not a permanent thing. You can be a vegetarian for some time, switch your diet, or you can be vegetarian for life, or you can be a non-veg for life. Different strokes for different folks. I'm not going to be so rigid about it. So let's read this chapter a little bit, and then we can continue with some of the other stuff. So in chapter 3, it's called the Yoga of Action. So Arjuna is arguing back with Krishna, and Arjuna says, fine, Arjuna, fine, argues Arjuna, the steady-minded man is superior because his mind thinks clearly. If mind, reason, thought, knowledge are so precious, why not stick to contemplation, which is pure, instead of recommending action, which is physical, impure? Why say fight? Why not just think? So Arjuna has a very smart point that he puts across to Krishna. He says, because in the previous chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that a person who's of steady mind, thinks clearly, reasonable, and knowledgeable, that steady-minded person is superior. So Arjuna is like, okay, then why not say think? Why say fight? Why so much importance on action? Very interesting question, to which Krishna answers. Krishna's answer is the key shloka. Shreyam, shloka 35. Shreyam swadharma. One's own dharma is best. At any given time, a human being stands at crossroads of 4 dharmas: Swadharma, Kula Dharma, Yuga Dharma, and Sanatan Dharma, the eternal values. So Sanatan Dharma is the eternal values that mankind cannot change, but which persuade mankind to change itself into, hopefully, a better, nobler, more human species. So the author has put across very beautifully. The author has described Sanatan Dharma, which Hinduism, there was no such thing as Hinduism. Actually, it was always Sanatan Dharma. And the meaning of Sanatan Dharma was the eternal values. The author has described it really beautifully. The eternal values that mankind cannot change, which have been always, which have existed always, but which persuade mankind to change or transform itself into hopefully a better, nobler, more human species. So Arjuna is caught in a conflict. He thinks his swadharma is to lay down arms. His family, Kshatriya dharma, advises him to battle. The dharma of the Dwapar Yuga demands taking sides in the doomsday clash, and the Sanatan dharma states that all life is sacred and the Atma cannot perish. Which dharma should he choose? Only the naive, facile and overzealous will say that Sanatan dharma is always the best. Krishna's advice seems to be, remember the hierarchy. Lowest is the flesh, then comes the senses, then the mind, the intellect, the Atma. Steady yourself with the self and choose. That is your dharma. That is the right choice. So Arjuna's conflict comes from the fact that he's torn between the duties and dharmas dictated by, his background, the dharma dictated by the time, the dharma dictated by the spiritual dharma of non-violence and non-killing. So he's conflicted between all these principles, and all of these principles are real and tangible, and they have an impact, and which is what the confusion, I think, for the rest of humanity is. There is a certain kind of diktat that comes from our background, from our upbringing. There's a certain kind of diktat that comes from humanity and dharma and spirituality. Certain kind of diktat that comes from the age that we are living in, the times that we are living in. And a fourth kind comes from, our own instinct and our own swadharma, what we are propelled to do. Isn't that what the conflict any which ways is in the world, So Krishna suggests how to navigate that conflict. He suggests get in touch with the deepest core of yourself, Same thing that we've been discussing. When you get in touch with your deepest core, your absolute core, yourself, through meditation, through contemplation, through spiritual path, through the grace of God, Guru, Master, when you get in touch with your absolute deep self, out of that self will come the knowing of what path you need to take in life, what dharma you need to fulfill, what diktat you need to, proliferate. There will be no conflict. When you function out of that deepest core of yourself, that deep sense of perception, there will be no conflict. You will know what to contribute at any given point of time. You will know how to function at any given point of time. You will know how to function in harmony. And somehow, all the conflicting dharmas, all the conflicting diktats, and all the conflicting ideologies and everything will somehow nicely blend in together in giving you a definitive, clear path of action. So what Krishna is saying is that people are not able to take action because they are conflicted, in different directions, and all of these directions are valid, all of these directions are valid. All of these principles and paths and schools of thoughts and ideologies and approaches are valid. And that's why people get conflicted. Conflict is never between good and evil. If we know what is good and what is evil, we'll never be conflicted. We'll know we choose the good, we reject the evil. We get conflicted because sometimes things are disguised. The good is not disguised. The good is disguised in a way that you really don't know if it's really that good. The evil is disguised in such a way that you don't really know if it's really evil or not. That's the conflict comes. Sometimes it's not even about good and evil. Sometimes the conflict is just different ideologies and different approaches, and they all may be right in their own way, but we get conflicted because if we were to take action, we have to have a definite clarity of thought and direction. So in that circumstance, Krishna says that you get in touch with me, or in other words, he says that later in the Bhagavad Gita, he says that I am everything and through me all things function. But so far in this chapter, he's simply saying that you get in touch with yourself, the deepest core of yourself, through all of these spiritual practices, all of the process and methods and introspection, everything, is for a person to get in touch with their deepest core and self. Every religion, every spiritual path, every modality, healing, everything is geared towards bringing an individual back in tune with themselves, back in tune with their higher self. Call it higher self, call it core self, call it spirit, soul. When that, union has happened, naturally a human being will flow out of, that inner knowing and a deep perception. And all of these doubts and conflicts will transcend and lift, and they will have a clear sense of direction. And mostly that direction will be something that allows, cohabitation. Somewhat like my spiritual path, at one point of time when I traversed through different religions, there were times when I had conflict. Which religion is better? Which God is better? What ideology is better? But over a period of time, when all of these paths and methods enabled me to touch base with my core, all of these conflicts and all of these doubts just lifted. Today I'm in harmony with all of the paths, all of the teachers, all of the stuff that I've studied and learned, all of the religions. I'm in harmony. There's no conflict in me or in my path or anything. There's a commonality that has shown itself. There's a unity that has shown itself in my various diverse paths that I've followed in my life. And with that unity has come a deep sense of knowing, settlement, very deep perception, and a very deep stillness, and a knowledge of the self, to a certain extent, I must say. And from that space, I just know what I have to do, I just know the direction I need to take. And even though I'm doing the Bhagavad Gita reading, a lot of times in my readings, I bring points from the Bible, I mention some verse from the Bible, I mention some verse from the Quran, I mention some, Sufi principle, and I'm okay with it. And the people who are listening are okay with it, because it blends. It kind of comes from a greater divine principle that is transcendent of religion. So there is no conflict, That's exactly what Krishna is saying, that when you really come in touch with your deepest self, all conflicts, they can just evaporate, The conflict is an illusion. When your consciousness is still trying to figure out the way back to yourself, and your consciousness is still outwardly focused in this realm, in this density, in this third dimensional realm, yes, in this third dimensional, when your perception is outward, this is different from that, and that is different from this, and this is a direction, and that is an approach. It feels like that things are separate. But then your consciousness go inwards, and the direction of perception changes, and you start functioning out of a deeper self, to a certain extent. All of these contradictions and conflicts kind of start looking like illusions. They start looking like they really don't exist, and that's what Krishna is saying, that come to the self, come within yourself, and then function out of that. You will have clarity of action, you will have clarity of purpose, and you will have clarity of your path. Somebody saying, I love the way you're ignoring your haters. Well, they're not really contributing anything to me or the live chat or to the world. I might as well ignore them, because I want to focus on people who are contributing something. To me, I am saying, I love the way you ignore your haters. Well, there is no choice, there is no option. There's these people, they are displaying their mental state and their spiritual state by putting such sick comments. What to do? I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing, because of these people. They're the ones who are losing out, because they're here in a live chat where they have opportunity to learn so much, grasp so much, transform their lives, be better than how they are, but they don't want to take that. They are trying to still disrupt. No one's losing out on it. The people who are here to learn will learn. I'm here to share. I will share. I will do my dharma, my karma, and I will be on my way. People who are here to learn, they will learn whatever they have to learn. They will be on their way. We will all go on their way. We will all go ahead in life. The ones who will be left behind are these people, and they'll be left behind in life. They have been left behind in life, because I'm not the first person that they are probably, Amit Resoni is like, those who feel vulgarity will give them some attention. I think they need help. Go to harm. So the things, I'm definitely not the first person that they've, commented on or tried to disrupt a session. I'm definitely not the last. But the point to be seen here for their own sake is that this is what they've done all their life. It's so sad. All their life, their claim to fame is that they've trolled a certain celebrity, or they've trolled a certain person, or they've said something nasty to somebody. That's their claim to fame. No achievements. No achievements in life to boast of, no contribution in life to boast of. So it's sad. I actually feel bad for these people because I don't end up reading much, because I'm kind of busy speaking what I have to speak. But whatever little I manage to read, I feel sorry for them. I feel really sorry for them because however they got this way, it's bad enough, whatever made them like this, and the fact that they are still not able to get the point, they're still functioning like that. And maybe 10 years from now, you and I will be in some other level, I know that. I'm going to rise very high in life, and I'm going to be in very good place in life. I'm already in a good place in life, and I'm going to manifest more of it, greater and better realities for myself and the world. And I'm pretty sure those of you who are listening and responding, I know that you're going to take something very, very valuable from what I'm sharing, and you are also going to create a wonderful reality, wonderful futures for yourself. So you and I are going to be on our way. Whoever can listen, come along. Whoever can respond, come along. What can we say? Mono Rocks is like, your specs look good. Thank you. So, what made me laugh? Something. Spartan Detector is saying even they like you, but in a different sense. Yeah, I do understand that. They are definitely drawn to me. That's why, some of these people, they stay on the live session for the full duration of the session, which is what fascinates me, because there are some people who are there in the live session, they're listening and they're understanding, and they're, kind of asking questions. And then there are others who are also there. Something has brought them here. Something has irresistibly drawn them here, because they could have left and gone a long time ago. They're here, they're trying to get my attention, they're trying to, engage with me, but in a negative way, in a different way. I think that is their existence. That's how they've existed, It's like, if I can give an example of, okay, not a very good example, but let's give an example of just someone who doesn't know any better, doesn't know any better. This is the way they've functioned all their life, and this is how they'll function with everybody. Maybe this is their one opportunity to even get a positive and good energy, and maybe down the line they will, be transformed by it. My experience says that human beings choose to transform themselves. That's why we choose to accept spirituality, we choose to accept Guru, we choose to accept the grace of God. So a choice makes a huge difference in a person's life. When we choose to accept something willingly, then that sets us on a path to self-discovery, self-realization, greater glory. Unawareness makes for a very slow spiritual path, and awareness usually doesn't really end very well. Okay, so today I was not really in the mood to read an entire chapter. I read the prelude of it, and we still covered a lot of relevant things in the chat, because I think I got a lot of very good questions today that I wanted to, kind of address. A lot of instinctively, a lot of things came to my mind that I wanted to touch upon. So, anything else that anybody wants to ask me? Today's session is going to be short because I had a live session earlier. I had to wake up earlier also. I slept late last night because I was on the call coordinating things about my workshop and everything. So today's Bhagavad Gita session was not really a Bhagavad Gita session. It was just a live session, talking about stuff, and then a little bit of the Bhagavad Gita reading. Next session we're gonna just start to finish do the chapter and just kind of go categorically. Everyone attend class if teacher likes you. Okay. Ubed Nizamani is asking, does God have a form? Depends on if you're asking about God with a big G or God with a small g. The God with a big G doesn't have form, doesn't have name, doesn't have a form, doesn't have a beginning or end, doesn't have, cannot be confined or limited, is infinite, immortal, ever present, all pervading, unfathomable, undescribable, and beyond the comprehension of a limited human mind. But if you're talking about God with a small g, which are children of God, a lot of the gods and goddesses that we know on earth are the gods with form. We know of them because they were divine beings. They are also God. They are divine beings, and they were avatars and incarnations. They were prophets and masters and saints and teachers, and they have form. They not only have form when they take birth in human form, but they also have a cosmic form. Before they take birth in human form, they have a form in antiquity also. They have a form in the cosmos. And that form is, depends on their lineage and depends on where they're coming from. So there is God in form, and that there is God without form also. When God comes in form, it enables us to have a personal relationship with God. When God is without form, also we can have a communion with God. So certain religions worship God without form, but in that also one can develop a relationship, and one can develop a communion, and to receive. And certain religions propagate a God in form, a more personalized form of God. In that also there is glory and grace. Amit Raisoni is saying massive difference, and is asking me if I've left acting. No, I haven't. I haven't really left anything, and this is just a part of my life. Always has been. If they can be confined in a form or shape, are truly gods. Doesn't God mean one can only bow and never perceive? Not necessarily. I mean, Krishna was God, and he took birth in human form. He was an avatar of Vishnu, and in the battlefield Kurukshetra, he showed Arjuna his divine form. From human form, he was able to show Arjuna divine form. So just because something is in form doesn't not make it, divine or God. Like I said, If you can reach the formless directly, great, good for you. But many of us have had to perceive a form of God first and then arrive at the formless, and that's okay as well. Like I said, these are the different approaches, what good is God without form if we human beings who are in form cannot reach it because it's too unattainable? And that is the reason why these divine beings, sons of God, daughters of God, God-like beings, God in form technically, descended upon humanity and enabled us to access divinity, the formless divinity. If God did not come in form, none of us would have had access to the formless divine. If we didn't have teachers, if we didn't have avatars, if we didn't have, God coming in form for us, because we are in form, we are limited by our form, by our perception, by our five senses, by our reality. We are limited, and that is why even God has to descend into limitation to work around our limitation and to reveal Himself itself within the confines of our limitation. So God from formless takes form for our benefit, Amit Soni is asking, what gets you going strongly when the winds are blowing on the opposite side? How do you stay strong? Well, my spiritual path has definitely given me a lot of strength, and it is because of that and faith and kind of my ability to resilience, to stay resilient, is what has enabled me to kind of stay on the path despite opposition. Nilanjan Mohapatra is like, hi, I'm in the PST time zone. Can I join the string meditation classes? I checked it's 9:30 IST. Please let me know. Yes, absolutely. It's as long as you're okay with the time, because if you're in the PST time zone, then it's going to be a different, date and time for you. So just check up on that. Use like an online calculator or however you calculate. Check up what time it's going to be for you, what day it's going to be for you, if it's going to be the previous day or something. For me, I'm in California, so when it's Sunday 9:30 in the morning for India, for me it's going to be Saturday evening 9 o'clock. So even I'm in a different time zone. So as a coach, I'm going to be joining in, for me it's going to be night time, when I join the workshop. So you're absolutely, it's okay, for people to join as long as you're going to be awake that time and, and able to do the workshop. Ubaid Zimani is saying, I'm from a monotheistic religion, Islam. We might disagree forever, but you're doing an amazing work towards, keep it up. Thank you so much, Zubaid. Yeah, I guess we all will always have our differences, in the world, because we've been taught different things, we've been taught things differently, and it's okay, I guess, I think we'll know the truth one day, we'll know the absolute truth one day, we'll see it, we will be in the presence of God one day, and I think that day all of our doubts and, everything will be cleared, and even if we've gone wrong somewhere, even in our understanding of God, even that, God will overlook, as long as our heart is in the right place. If our heart is in the right place and if we have loved God truly, then whatever misconceptions or misunderstandings or not a complete depth of understanding if we've had, of God, or even if we've kind of faltered somewhere, we will be forgiven, because it's a safe way to connect with God through the heart rather than through the mind. In love and devotion, one is able to not only transcend much more and to be able to understand much more, of the divinity. But I'm glad a lot of people are appreciating my effort. And it just makes me feel really good that I'm able to reach out to people and kind of do what I really like. There's someone who asked me a question, ma'am, आपको क्या हो गया? That's the weirdest thing. If you talk positively, if you talk about some good stuff, people start wondering what has happened to you. But if I were to sit over here and bitch the world out and talk crap and talk shit and like talk nonsense, nobody's gonna. This person would not have asked me a question. That's such is the state of the world. If you're trying to do something good, people ask you like, "Oh my God, what has happened to her?" Nothing. I have my regular life. I have my career. I have everything that's normal. I think this is something that all of us should be doing. All of us should be sharing. If we have something good in us, it ought to be shared. Afzal Hungries, ma'am, lots of love from Delhi. Okay. So we had a nice live session. I think we had a lot of people asking a lot of relevant questions today. We didn't do too much of the Bhagavad Gita reading today, but we answered a lot of questions. We spoke about the current animal cruelty topic. And it was really wonderful having you guys here. Tarun Barot 55 is like, are you enjoying your self status? Yes, absolutely. I've always enjoyed my celeb status, and I've tried to use my celeb status to do something relevant and constructive also in the society, which is also what I'm trying to do now. Because with great power comes great responsibility, and I think I have been blessed with great power in not just socially but in so many other ways. So I try to be responsible about it. Okay, guys, just as a reminder, the workshop is still accepting participants, and the link is in the bio. There is also link mentioned in some of my posts, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have already checked out the profile page. Do join in if you haven't joined in yet, and take advantage of this opportunity that I'm providing from years of my experience making a workshop available to help people take baby steps on the spiritual path, and most importantly learn the basics of meditation. We will also be doing a guided meditation during the workshop. It's going to be a lot of fun because I've put together a lot of elements in the workshop which are going to be very fun and interesting for the first time person who's first time joining in and has never experienced such a thing. So yeah, looking forward to see some of you guys in my workshop, and also looking forward to seeing you guys in my next live session. So thank you for joining in, and I'll see you guys in the next live session. For those of you who are just joining in, so you've not missed much. We had a lot of different things that we've discussed today, but we've not done too much Bhagavad Gita reading today. So we still have an entire chapter that we will start from fresh next session. So okay then. Ibrahim for guys like, don't go. Sure. Eat the Milan. Good night. Yes, good night, folks. Good night, good day, wherever you all are. whoever goes against the king dies saying, I still can't stop looking at your hair. I know, I mean, I'm super stoked myself about my hair. So at least I know that I'll never have a problem if I'm not around a hairdresser or a barber. You know, I can do my own cut. Alrighty, see ya.